Here we go. According to Lee Camp, the American society would collapse if it weren't for these 8 myths. Myth number 8, we have a democracy.
Yep. Start with a big one.
Yep. If you think we still have a democracy or a democratic republic, ask yourself this. When was the last time Congress did something that the people of America supported that did not align with corporate interests? You probably can't do it.
Can't do it.
It's like trying to think of something that rhymes with orange. You feel like an answer exists, but then slowly realize it doesn't. Even the Carter Center and former President Jimmy Carter believes that America has been transformed into an oligarchy, a small corrupt elite control of the country with almost no input from the people. And that's where we're at. Bernie Sanders calls it an oligarchy. He's telling the truth.
It is. Folks, when you get the tears in your eyes when the flags are waved at the game this weekend and the Jets fly over, you get tears. Remember Darren Gibson's words and Carter's and Sanders' words.
They're not my words. Lee Camp. Yep.
The United States of America's democracy is a myth.
Myth number 7, we have an accountable and legitimate voting system. Gerrymandering, voter purging, data mining, broken exit polling, push polling, superdelegates, electoral votes, black box machines, voter ID suppression, provisional ballots, super PACs, dark money, third parties, banished from the debates, and 2 corporate parties that stand for the same goddamn pile of fetid crap. You know what? He should write that to the tune of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. I bet he could do it. Right. Myth number 6, we have an independent media that keeps the rulers accountable. Let me tell you where your independent media is, folks. Free Speech TV and Pacifica Radio. That's it. That's all. Everybody else is under corporate ownership. And it seems like it gets worse. Story. Go ahead.
The recent story that was released yesterday, media blacks out Roger Waters' performance in defense of Assange.
Yeah,
attended by thousands of people.
Yeah, how many people know that a concert was held to benefit Julian Assange by Pink Floyd founder Roger Waters?
And a very renowned journalist, Pilger, I don't know his first name.
Yeah.
Conducted this very strong defense of Julian Assange, who Southpaws has defended and supported in as long as I've been associated with the show. And there was not a word. The Guardian was blocks away from the Guardian news service. There's not a mention anywhere. It's called a blackout. It's called a media blackout. And we expect to run our democracy based on the truth that is transmitted by the media. We're not getting it. We are not getting the truth. And by the way, Darren, they're about to send Assange to the United States, where he would be put in jail. Miss Hillary Clinton will get hot between the under her skirt because she has vowed to destroy Assange. The corporate world will smirk, and the corporate media did nothing to extol this protest and point out the truth that was brought to the eyes of the world thanks to a real journalist, and that's Julian Assange. We don't have a media that's responsible. We have a media that's complicit with the money, just like the politicians.
All right, let me continue here. Myth number 5, we have an independent judiciary. Anybody that's been in the criminal justice system knows that's not true. Let me just read this here. If you're not part of the moneyed class, you're pressured into releasing what few rights you have left. According to the New York Times, 97% of federal cases and 94% of state cases ended in plea bargains, with defendants pleading guilty in exchange for a lesser sentence. That's the name of the game. Pressure people of color and poor people to just take the plea deal because they do not have $1 million to spend on a lawyer. You know, we talked last week about the update to the story about the police chief in small town Michigan who set up a large reserve police force. Donate $1,300, you get a badge, a gun, and a bulletproof vest, and you can call yourself a reserve officer. The guy that helped bring it down, the bar owner that I met last week, told me this, and this is a verbatim quote. if you're going to sue, make sure you've got a lot of money. If you're going to go after somebody in the political field in a lawsuit, make sure you got a lot of money because it's going to cost you. He should know.
That's right.
Yeah, but he got all that money back, didn't he? Myth number 4, the police are here to protect you. They're your friends. We just talked about the Straight Pride March where the protesters got pepper sprayed and beaten with batons. They were spraying medics with pepper spray.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
we don't have a lot of time.
The police are not your friends.
No, we got example after example where in these recent protests in the United States, they were there and protected the right-wing extremists and collided and pushed down and sprayed, as Darren just said, the counter-protesters, indicating those that are against white supremacy. So you tell me who's your friend.
And Lee Camp reminds us that the United States locks up more people than any other country on the planet. So there you go.
Big business.
Myth number 3, buying will make you happy. No, you've been conditioned that way by advertisers for the last 70 years on television. You know, some of you need to take some media courses in college. Just take one. Just take one that deals with the topic of advertising and how they get you to like certain brand names. This is all subliminal stuff, folks. You really need to dig into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Myth number 2, if you work hard, things will get better. It's once again you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And if I ever hear the next person that says that, I'm going to punch him in the mouth. I don't mind going to jail. It's a $200 bail for simple assault in Kent County. So there you go.
Yeah, Horatio Alger, the guy that started the myth, seriously started, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
And all you got to do is work hard, is a myth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a myth.
Yep.
I don't think people, these are archetypes. You know, archetype is deep down in people's conscience. They have this myth just indelibly there. We're the greatest nation. We're the most benevolent. We give more money to other nations. You just work hard in this country and you'll rise to the top. We're here to tell you, we're here to sponge these monies. They're not going to work for your life. Those people that think they got their hands on democracy because they can vote in these rigged elections and these voting machines that don't work, you're like a child in the back of a parent's car, sitting in his car seat that has a little plastic steering wheel and a gear shift, and that little kid thinks he's driving the car. He's turning right, he's turning left, he's making decisions what to do with the steering wheel. It's got nothing to do with the outcome of the direction of that car. Nothing whatsoever. You know who's driving the vehicle? Big corporations.
Yeah, the rich. Yeah. Let me add
and you're like a silly kid.
Let me add 2A to this, Jack, because people think that rich people got rich because they worked hard. No, rich people got rich off the backs of their employees. That's a period, end of story. Right there.
Yeah, you're free, folks. You're free to work for somebody else's wealth.
Well, that's actually myth number 1. You are free. No, you're not free. And Lee Camp gives some examples here. Try building a fire in a parking lot to keep warm in the winter. Try sleeping in your car for more than a few hours without being harassed by police. Try maintaining your privacy for a week without a single email, web search, or location data set collected by the NSA and the telecoms. Try signing up for the military because you need college money and then one day just walking off the base going, yeah, I was bored, thought I would not just do this anymore. Try explaining to Kentucky Fried Chicken that while you don't have the green pieces of paper they want in exchange for the mashed potatoes, you do have some pictures you've drawn on a napkin to give them instead. Try running for president. Yeah, that's a good one. Try running for president as a third-party candidate. By the way, Jill Stein was shackled and chained to a chair by police during one of the debates. That's documented, folks.
Dynamite.
Try using the restroom of Starbucks without buying something while black. We are less free than a dog on a leash. We live in one of the hardest working, most unequal societies on the planet with more billionaires than ever. Folks, it's time to wake up. The coffee has been put on the pot by Lee Camp. You need to smell the brew, folks. Wake up.
Exactly. Can I add one myth to that list? Would you say there were eight there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to add one here, and that is that our nation was formed by God, and that we are exceptional because of that. And so when you see the bumper sticker that says "In God We Trust," that's got to be referring to the United States of America. It's gotten so bad, our theocratic myth, that there is a book out by a guy's name, Strang. I looked at it, I thought it was strange, but it's just Strang. Mm-hmm. Mr. Strang has a book out. You go to any bookstore today, it's in the front row. It's called God and Donald Trump in bold gold letters. Millions of Americans believe that God made Trump the president of the United States. Millions and millions. This Strang is his name. He's a hardcore, charismatic, I don't know, I guess a political, religious, unified leader. And what he's tapped into is threatening civil rights, threatening our democracy, and that is the continued push for theocracy in the United States. Franklin Graham last week said that all school boards should be headed by Christians across the United States, and he's in an initiative to bring that about. Mm-hmm. So myth number 9 is that there is a God in heaven who blessed us and gave us this country, and that he's still ruling and getting his leaders in place for the benefit of us all. The founders of the country had nothing to do with divine input. That's creeping into our thinking like it never has before, and is an absolute noose around the neck of a secular democratic government.
Absolutely right.
Absolute death.
No, this country was founded by a bunch of British rebels who went against the king by dressing up as Indians and throwing tea into the harbor. That's the truth right there. God had nothing to do with the formation of this country, because guess what? He doesn't exist, folks. Does not exist. And
did God have anything to do with the guy down in Florida that prayed the hurricane away? The guy religiously done that, claimed he diverted Dorian from Florida?
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh,
he didn't care about Georgia, but he did want to say Florida, I guess, for the old people.
Yeah. And one thing that God did not provide us with is enough time. We are actually out of time for this episode, so we might as well just get our music going. And yeah, it does fly fast. And we've got more stories on our Facebook page. Again, if you go to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show, you can see some of the stories that we simply ran out of time and we couldn't get to this week. So make sure you check that out. We'll be back next week. I'm Darren Gibson.
I'm Jack Prince.
And for our announcer, Kristen Cook, please support independent media and the First Amendment.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.